My name is Patricia Moore. I'm 58 years old. At 8:16 on Thanksgiving morning, my sister called me and said, "Patricia, we all think it would be better if you came alone this year." I was standing in my kitchen with flour on my hands, a pumpkin pie cooling on the counter, and my daughter, Lily, sitting at the table lining up silver measuring spoons from smallest to largest. Lily was 26 years old. She was autistic. She loved birds, soft sweaters, exact schedules, weather maps, and the sound of my mother's old mantel clock ticking in the living room. She did not like crowded rooms, sudden hugs, strong perfume, overlapping conversations, or people touching her plate before she was finished eating. She was not difficult. She was specific. There is a difference. My family had never bothered to learn it. I pressed the phone between my shoulder and ear and said, "What do you mean, come alone?" My sister, Marlene, sighed in that careful way people sigh when they want cruelty to sound like patience. "You know what I mean." "No, I want you to say it." There was a pause. Lily looked up from the table. She noticed tone before words. She always had. Marlene lowered her voice. "We just don't want the day disrupted." "By my daughter?" "Don't twist it." "I'm not twisting anything. You asked me not to bring Lily to Thanksgiving." "Patricia, she gets overwhelmed." "Yes, usually because no one respects what helps her. She hums during dinner. She hums when the room is too loud. She walks away during conversations. She walks away instead of having a meltdown. That's called self-regulation. She corrected Uncle Ray last year when he got the cranberry sauce recipe wrong. He did get it wrong. That is not the point." "No, Marlene. The point is that my daughter is being uninvited because grown adults refuse to tolerate a harmless person being different." Marlene went quiet. Then she said the sentence that stayed with me. "Mom is 91, Patricia. We want a peaceful Thanksgiving. Lily will ruin the mood." The flour on my hands suddenly felt heavy. Ruin the mood. My daughter, who had spent the week drawing a small place card for Grandma with a cardinal on it because Grandma loved cardinals. My daughter, who had practiced saying, "Happy Thanksgiving, Grandma Evelyn," in the mirror because group greetings made her nervous. My daughter, who had asked 3 times whether there would be a quiet room at Grandma's house if dinner got too loud. My daughter, who had chosen her soft blue dress the night before and laid it over the chair in her room with her brown cardigan folded beside it. Ruin the mood. I looked at Lily. She was staring at the measuring spoons, not lining them up now, just staring. She had heard enough. I said, "Is this everyone's decision?" Marlene exhaled. "We discussed it." "Who is we?" "Me, Karen, Ray, and the cousins. Mom doesn't need stress." "Did Grandma say Lily shouldn't come?" Another pause. That told me everything. "Marlene." "She doesn't know yet." I wiped my hands on a towel. "Good, then I'll tell her." "No, don't upset her. You were planning to exclude her great-granddaughter from Thanksgiving without telling her, and you're worried I'll upset her." "Patricia, be reasonable." Reasonable. Another word families use when they want a mother to make her child smaller for everyone else's comfort. I said, "Lily and I will not be attending." Marlene sounded relieved. Then she tried to hide it. "Maybe that's best." "No," I said. "It is not best. It is simply what happens when people make a room unsafe for my daughter." I hung up. For a moment, the only sound in the kitchen was the clock ticking from the living room and the soft crackle of the pie cooling on the rack. Then Lily said, "I ruined the mood." Not a question, a statement. I turned. She was still looking at the spoons. "Lily." I heard Aunt Marlene. I crossed the kitchen and sat beside her. "You do not ruin the mood." She said, "I do." Aunt Marlene said something cruel because she does not understand you. Lily touched the smallest spoon. People say they don't understand when they don't want to try. I had to look away for 1 second because sometimes my daughter said the clearest thing in the room without dressing it up for anyone's comfort. "You're right," I said. She nodded once. "Grandma wanted the cardinal card." "Yes, sweetheart." "Should I throw it away?" "No." Her eyes lifted to mine. "No." "No, we're going to take it to her another day." Lily thought about that. Then said, "Grandma saves chairs." I smiled sadly. "Yes, she does." That was Grandma Evelyn's habit. At every family meal, she set 1 extra chair, not for ghosts, not in a spooky way, for welcome. "When you set an extra chair," she always said, People know there is still room. That Thanksgiving, my family thought they could remove my daughter from the table quietly. They forgot who taught me what a saved seat meant. At 9:03, my phone rang again. "Grandma," I answered immediately. "Hi, Mom." Her voice was thin with age but still sharp in the center. "Patricia Ann Moore, why did Marlene just tell me you and Lily are not coming because Lily needs rest?" I closed my eyes. There it was. The lie had already grown a sweater. "Mom, what happened?" I hesitated, only because she was 91, only because I loved her, only because the whole family used her age like a shield against truth. But Grandma Evelyn had never asked us to protect her with lies. So I told her. Marlene's call. The discussion. The words. Ruined the mood. Grandma said nothing for a long moment. Then she said, "Put Lily on." I handed the phone to my daughter. Lily held it with both hands. "Hello, Grandma Evelyn." I could hear Mom's voice through the receiver, soft but firm. "Lily, did you make me a cardinal card?" Lily's chin trembled. "Yes." "Good. Bring it." Lily blinked. "Mom said we are not coming." Grandma said, "Your mother is tired. I am old. Neither of those facts outranks me. You are coming to Thanksgiving." Lily looked at me. I took the phone back. "Mom." "No," Grandma said. "Listen to me. You and Lily will come at noon. Lily's seat is already saved." My throat tightened. "Mom, I don't want a scene." "Patricia, there is already a scene. I simply intend to direct it properly." I almost laughed. Grandma continued. "Bring the pie. Bring Lily. Bring the cardigan if the dining room gets cold. And tell Lily the quiet room will be my sewing room. I already moved the baskets." "You did?" "I know my great-granddaughter." That sentence undid me, not because it was grand. Because it was true. Grandma knew. She had always known. At noon, Lily and I walked into Grandma Evelyn's house carrying pumpkin pie, the cardinal card, and the kind of calm that only comes when you know you may be walking into cruelty, but you are no longer asking permission to exist. The dining room was already set. China plates, amber glasses, folded napkins, name cards. At the head table, beside Grandma's chair, was a place card written in Grandma's careful hand. Lily. A small ceramic cardinal sat beside it. Marlene saw it at the same time I did. Her face went pale. Grandma Evelyn sat in her wingback chair near the window, wearing her pearl earrings and the burgundy sweater I had bought her 3 Christmases earlier. She looked at Lily and smiled. "There's my girl." Lily walked to her carefully, holding out the card. "I made the cardinal red because males are red, females are brown. But you like red cardinals best." Grandma took the card like it was a legal document. "I do." Uncle Ray muttered from the doorway. "Well, I guess we're doing this." Grandma turned her head. "Raymond, if you want to keep eating in my house, you will not speak about my great-granddaughter like she is bad weather." The room went silent. And for the first time that day, the mood was perfect. This is that story. Before I tell you how my family learned that excluding my autistic daughter from Thanksgiving was the fastest way to lose Grandma's favor, tell me where you are watching or listening from, and what time it is there. I always wonder who hears stories like this while remembering the person in your family who was called too much, simply because others were too lazy to make room. And if you connect with stories about women who were dismissed, protective, betrayed, and quietly took their power back, like and subscribe to Ultimate Revenge. Some women do not beg for a seat at the table. Some women walk in and find Grandma already saved it. I raised Lily mostly by myself. Her father, Thomas, left when she was 6. Not all at once. Men like Thomas often leave emotionally before their body catches up. At first he said he could not handle the evaluations, then the therapy appointments, then the school meetings, then the sensory plans, then the way Lily cried when the vacuum cleaner ran, then the way I learned to cut tags out of all her clothes, carry noise-canceling headphones in my purse, write schedules in marker, and prepare her before every transition. He said I had changed. He was right. Motherhood changed me. Autism changed how I listened. Disappointment changed how much I expected from people who loved convenience more than children. Thomas said everything revolves around Lily. I said, she is 6. He said you make excuses for her. I said I understand her. He said, "You don't understand me." And one day he packed 2 suitcases and moved into an apartment closer to his office. He visited for a while, then less, then birthdays and Christmas, then texts, then child support that arrived late often enough that I stopped building budgets around it. My family had opinions. Of course they did. Marlene said I should be stricter. Karen said I should not let Lily run the house. Uncle Ray said, "In my day, kids just behaved." My mother said, "In your day, Ray, left-handed children got smacked with rulers. Sit down." That was Grandma Evelyn, my mother, Lily's defender before Lily had language for defense. Grandma was 71 when Lily was diagnosed. She read every pamphlet I brought her, then said, "These are written by people who enjoy making simple things sound like weather reports. Tell me what Lily needs." So I told her, predictability, low noise, no forced hugs, food separated on the plate, warning before transitions, a place to retreat, respect for literal language, clear expectations. Grandma took notes. Actual notes. In a little yellow pad she used for grocery lists. The next Sunday dinner, she placed Lily's peas in a small bowl so they would not touch the mashed potatoes. She told everyone, "Do not hug Lily unless she offers. Wave instead." She turned down the television before Lily arrived. She told Ray not to tease her about eating the same roll every time. Ray grumbled. Grandma said, "You are 70 years old and still eat the same breakfast every morning. Let the child have a roll." That was Mom. Direct, practical, merciful without being soft. The symbolic object in this story was the ceramic cardinal. Small, red, glossy, chipped slightly on one wing. It had belonged to my grandmother before her, and Mom kept it on the kitchen windowsill every winter. When Lily was 9, she became fascinated with birds, cardinals especially. She liked that they were easy to identify, that they stayed through winter, that they looked bright against snow. Grandma gave her the cardinal one afternoon, after Lily had a meltdown at a family birthday party, because 3 balloons popped in a row, and everyone laughed too loudly. I found Lily hiding under Grandma's sewing table, hands over her ears. Grandma got down on the floor slowly, which at 74 was an act of love all by itself. She did not tell Lily to come out. She placed the cardinal near the table leg and said, "This bird stays in winter. It does not apologize for being bright." Lily reached for it after several minutes. From then on, the cardinal meant safety. At Grandma's house, it sat beside Lily's plate. At our house, Lily kept a drawn version of it on her calendar. When she was older and more verbal, she said, "Grandma understands that safe objects are not childish. They are reminders." Exactly. My family never understood why Mom adapted. They thought she was spoiling Lily. They thought I was overprotective. They thought accommodations were special treatment instead of basic hospitality. At Thanksgiving when Lily was 12, Karen's son hid Lily's headphones as a joke. Lily panicked, cried, covered her ears, rocked beside the stairs while everyone searched. When we found them under a sofa cushion, Karen said, "He was just playing." Grandma said, "Then he can play with consequences." She made him apologize directly, returned the headphones with both hands, and skipped dessert until Lily felt safe enough to come back to the room. Karen said Mom was harsh. Mom said, "No, harsh is making a child's coping tool disappear because you think her distress is funny." At Christmas when Lily was 16, Marlene insisted on a family photo and tried to pull Lily into the center by her wrist. Lily jerked back and shouted, "Don't touch me." Marlene cried, because being corrected by an autistic teenager hurt her feelings more than grabbing that teenager without consent. Grandma said, "Marlene, tears do not make your hands polite." I loved my mother so much in that moment I had to leave the room. But Grandma was getting older, and as she aged, my relatives grew bolder around her, not less. They began treating her like a ceremonial object instead of a person with agency. They wanted her house, her recipes, her approval, her heirlooms, her holiday table, her signature on birthday cards, her blessing without her opinions. They forgot that my mother had survived a husband, 4 children, breast cancer at 68, 1 hip replacement, 2 church committee wars, and 67 years of Ray's nonsense. She was not fragile. She was tired. Different things. By the time Lily was 26, Grandma's house had become the center of the family inheritance conversations. No one admitted were inheritance conversations. The house sat on 4 acres at the edge of town, white clapboard, green shutters, wraparound porch, old maple trees, a sewing room, a garden shed, a kitchen where every cabinet had a sound. It was not a mansion, but property values had risen, and suddenly everyone had opinions about keeping it in the family. Marlene thought it should be sold and divided. Karen thought one of her sons should buy it at a, quote, family price. Ray thought he should get the back acreage because he helped Dad build the shed in 1982. My cousins wanted photos and furniture. Everyone wanted pieces. I wanted my mother to decide in peace. Lily wanted the cardinals fed. Every Wednesday, Lily and I visited Grandma. We brought groceries, sorted medicine, changed sheets, filled bird feeders, watered plants. Lily read the weather forecast aloud because Grandma said she trusted Lily more than television meteorologists. Sometimes Lily sat quietly in the sewing room for an hour while Grandma napped. Sometimes she organized Grandma's buttons by color. Sometimes she watched the cardinals at the kitchen window and wrote down how many came. Grandma called those Wednesdays my sane day. My siblings visited too, occasionally. Usually with advice. Marlene brought brochures for senior living communities and said, just to think about. Karen brought her adult sons and let them measure the garage for future planning. Ray came by when something needed criticizing. But Lily came to fill the feeders. That mattered to Mom, more than anyone realized. 2 months before Thanksgiving, Grandma called me after Lily and I had left. Patricia, I updated my will. I sat down. Mom. Don't use that voice. I'm 91. I'm allowed to organize my exit. I know. Are you okay? I am perfectly capable of both being alive and preparing not to be. That was Mom. What did you decide? You'll know when it matters. Mom. No, I am telling you this much because people will behave badly and I want you ready. I made choices based on who treated this house as a home and who treated it as inventory. My throat tightened. Okay. Do not argue with them when they perform disappointment. I'll try. Do better than try. They will call you selfish. They will call Lily difficult. They will say I was confused. They will say you influenced me. I didn't. I know, that's why they'll need to say it. I closed my eyes. What do you need from me? Thanksgiving, bring Lily. Always. Good. That was before Marlene's call. Before Ruin the Mood. Before Grandma saved the seat. Thanksgiving unfolded with the tension of a thunderstorm that had not yet broken. Lily sat beside Grandma at the head table. I sat on Lily's other side. Marlene sat across from us, jaw tight. Karen whispered to her daughter twice. Ray drank too much sweet tea and looked like a man storing comments for later. The cousins arrived in waves, loud and careless, then became quieter when they noticed Grandma's expression. Grandma did not announce anything immediately. She let the day happen. That was the brilliance of it. She wanted everyone to show who they were before she named what she had done. At 1:20, dinner began. Lily had turkey, roll, carrots, and cranberry sauce in a separate dish because Grandma had already set one aside. Marlene saw it and said nothing. Good. Ray made it 11 minutes. A personal record. Then Lily began humming softly because 6 conversations were happening at once, and the silverware was loud against plates. Ray put down his fork. Can we not do that at the table? I turned toward him. Grandma was faster. Can you not chew with your mouth open? Ray flushed. That's different. You're right, Grandma said. Lily's humming is quieter. A cousin coughed into her napkin. Lily stopped humming and whispered, I can go to the sewing room. Grandma touched the table near Lily's hand, not touching her. You can if you want. You do not have to if other people can learn manners. Lily stayed. That was courage. Not dramatic courage. Autistic courage in a room full of people watching whether your existence is allowed to take up sound. At 2:15 after pie, Marlene tried again. Mom, maybe you should rest before people start discussing the house stuff. Grandma looked at her. What house stuff? Marlene froze. Karen said, she just means general planning. I have planned. The room changed. You could feel it. Every fork paused. Every adult leaned slightly toward the future. Grandma folded her napkin. I was going to wait until after Christmas, but since so many people have spent the last year treating my home like a pie they intend to slice, I think today is appropriate. Marlene said, "Mom, this isn't the time." "It is my table. I'll decide the time." No one argued. Grandma reached beside her chair and lifted a manila envelope. I stared at it. I had not seen it before. She placed it on the table. "My attorney has the official documents. This is a copy of the letter I asked him to keep with my will." Karen's face paled. Ray sat up straighter. Grandma looked around the table. "I am leaving this house and the 4 acres to Patricia, with a life use provision and protection plan for Lily. After Patricia's lifetime, the property will go into a trust for Lily's housing, care, and stability, managed by an independent trustee with Patricia's input while she is living." The room went silent. So silent I heard the mantel clock tick in the living room. Lily looked at me. I could not breathe. Marlene was the first to speak. "What?" Grandma looked at her. "You heard me?" Karen's voice shook. "Mom, that's the entire house." "Yes." Ray said, "You can't just—" Grandma cut him off. "I can. I did." Marlene's face flushed. "Patricia already has a house." "I know." "Karen's boys are starting families." "I know." "Ray helped Dad with the shed." Grandma looked at Ray. "And he has mentioned it for 42 years. Consider the debt paid in attention." A cousin made a sound and then covered her mouth. Marlene leaned forward. "Mom, did Patricia ask you to do this?" "No." "Did she know?" "No." "Then why?" Grandma's eyes moved to Lily. My daughter had stopped eating. Her hands were folded in her lap. Grandma said, "Because every week, Patricia and Lily come here without measuring the walls. Lily fills my bird feeders. She knows which floorboard creaks outside my bedroom and avoids stepping on it during my nap. She sorts my medicine with Patricia and checks the weather before storms. She notices when my tea is too close to the edge of the table. She remembers the cardinals. She treats this house like a place where someone lives." Then she looked at the others. "You treat it like something waiting for me to leave." Marlene began crying. "Mom, that's cruel." "No," Grandma said. "Cruel is telling a mother not to bring her daughter to Thanksgiving because she will ruin the mood, then expecting to inherit the room where that daughter has always been welcomed." Marlene's mouth opened, closed. Karen looked at Marlene. "You said what?" Grandma turned to Karen. "You were part of the discussion." Karen looked down. "Good. Let the truth spread evenly." Grandma continued. "I am old, not absent. I know who sighs when Lily enters. I know who hides impatience behind concern. I know who says she is too much. I know who benefits from Patricia's care while criticizing how she gives it. And I know who this house feels safe for." She placed her hand near the ceramic cardinal. "This seat was saved because Lily belongs here. The house will be saved for the same reason." That was the moment everything changed. Not because money entered the room, because Grandma named belonging as something my family could no longer vote on. I need to pause here for a second. If you have ever watched a family exclude someone who needed gentleness, then act shocked when the person who truly loved them was rewarded, you know what Patricia felt at that table. It was not about winning a house. It was about a grandmother saying, out loud, that accommodation is love, not inconvenience. If this story is hitting close to home, leave a comment and tell me who in your family always deserved a saved seat. And, if you have not already, subscribe to Ultimate Revenge. The quiet part is over. The reaction was exactly what Grandma predicted. Marlene cried. Karen went quiet. Ray got angry. The cousins whispered. Someone said, "Undue influence," under their breath. Grandma heard it. Of course she did. "Daniel," she said to my cousin, "if you have something legal to imply, say it clearly." Daniel turned red. "I just think changes like this should be discussed." Grandma smiled. "My will is not a potluck menu." No one laughed. They wanted to. But inheritance tension has a way of choking humor. Marlene said, "Mom, we're worried Patricia won't be able to maintain the property." I almost spoke. Grandma held up one hand. Patricia has maintained me, her daughter, her home, and her dignity under this family's criticism for 26 years. I trust her with gutters. Karen said, "What about fairness?" Grandma nodded. "Fairness. Good. Let's discuss it." Everyone shifted nervously. Fairness would have meant Lily being welcomed without negotiation. Fairness would have meant Patricia not having to call ahead to ask whether there would be a quiet room. Fairness would have meant cousins teaching their children not to mock humming or headphones. Fairness would have meant seeing care work as contribution before the will came out. Karen's eyes filled. Grandma's voice softened slightly. "I am not disinheriting everyone. There are accounts and items divided. You will each receive something, but the house goes where the care has been." Marlene whispered, "So this is punishment?" Grandma looked at her with such sadness that even I felt it. "No, Marlene, this is accuracy." Accuracy. My mother always did love a clean word. Lily leaned toward me and whispered, "Is Grandma angry?" I whispered back, "Grandma is clear." Lily nodded. "Clear is better." "Yes." After dinner, Lily went to the sewing room. Not because she had been sent away. Because she chose it. I found her sitting in Grandma's old rocking chair, holding the ceramic cardinal. "Do we live here now?" she asked. "No, sweetheart, not now. When Grandma dies." Her voice was matter-of-fact. Lily did not decorate death with euphemisms. Grandma respected that. "Maybe someday. We'll make a plan." "Will people be mad?" "Yes." She nodded. "I don't want Grandma to die." I sat on the floor beside her. "Neither do I. I like Wednesdays." "I know. Will the cardinals still come if Grandma dies?" I swallowed. "Yes, if we feed them." She looked at the bird in her hand. "Then we should." I cried then, quietly. Lily noticed and placed the cardinal on the table between us. "Safe object," she said. "Yes." Grandma came in a few minutes later, moving slowly with her cane. She looked at me on the floor. "If you get stuck down there, I'm calling the fire department." I laughed through tears. Lily stood to give Grandma the chair, but Grandma waved her down. "No, sit. I came to give you something." She handed Lily a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. Lily read slowly. "Lily, this house has always known your footsteps. If someday it becomes yours to use, remember that a home is not made safe by quiet people. It is made safe by kind people. Love, Grandma Evelyn." Lily read it twice, then folded it carefully. "I will keep it in my cardinal box." Grandma smiled. "Good." I looked at my mother. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have tried to argue." "I might have. You care too much about peace." "I learned from you." "No," she said. "You learned peacekeeping from this family. You learned peace from raising Lily." That sentence stayed with me. The rest of the day was strained. But different. People spoke carefully around Lily. Some from shame. Some from fear of Grandma. I accepted both. Not all improvement begins from virtue. Sometimes people behave better because consequences finally arrive. When we left, Grandma walked us to the porch. Lily hugged her. She did not hug many people. Grandma knew better than to make a big show of it. She simply held still and received it, like communion. Then Lily said, "Thank you for saving my seat." Grandma said, "Thank you for filling it." Marlene watched from the doorway. I saw her face, hurt, jealous, confused. But maybe, beneath it, the beginning of understanding that Lily had not taken anything from her. Marlene had removed herself one unkind choice at a time. The fallout lasted months. Of course it did. Marlene called me 2 days later. I let it go to voicemail. She left a long message. "Patricia, I hope you know I never meant Lily shouldn't be part of the family. I just wanted one calm day for Mom. This whole thing has been twisted, and now everyone thinks I'm some monster. I think you should talk to Mom, because this will tear the family apart." No apology. Just reputation management. I saved it. Karen texted, "I'm sorry about Thanksgiving. I should have said something before it got to Mom. That was closer." I replied, "Yes, you should have." She wrote, "Can I apologize to Lily?" I asked Lily. She said, "Will she say why?" I texted Karen, "Only if you can be specific and not make Lily comfort you." Karen took a day, then came over. She sat at our kitchen table, hands folded, looking nervous. Lily sat across from her with the ceramic cardinal between them. Karen said, "Lily, I am sorry I was part of a conversation about not inviting you to Thanksgiving. That was wrong. I should have said you belonged there. I am sorry I cared more about keeping things easy than keeping things kind." Lily looked at her for a long time, then said, "Did you think I would ruin the mood?" Karen's eyes filled. "Yes, I am ashamed that I thought that." Lily nodded. "I did not ruin it. Uncle Ray was louder." Karen laughed and cried at the same time. "You're right." Lily said, "Apology accepted. Please do not touch the cardinal." Karen pulled her hand back immediately. "Understood." That apology mattered, because it did not fix everything. It simply told the truth without asking Lily to become easier. Marlene took longer. Much longer. She was furious about the house. She told relatives I had manipulated Mom. She suggested Grandma was declining mentally, which ended abruptly when Grandma's attorney sent a letter confirming that Mom had been evaluated, found competent, and had made her estate decisions independently with written explanations. Grandma mailed copies to all 4 children, with a handwritten sticky note on each. "I am old, not confused. Classic Mom." Ray complained about the shed. Grandma sent him a framed photo of it for Christmas. No one knew whether it was a joke. I did. 6 months later, Grandma fell in the garden and broke her wrist. Not catastrophic, but frightening. Lily and I increased visits. Marlene came more too, at first out of guilt or optics, I think. But something shifted during those visits. She saw Lily notice things. Grandma's water glass empty, the blanket slipping, the mail left too close to the edge of the table, the oven timer too loud, the cardinal feeder low. One afternoon, I arrived to find Marlene standing in the kitchen watching Lily gently place Grandma's pills into a weekly organizer while reading each label aloud. Marlene whispered, "She's very careful." I said yes. "I didn't know." I looked at her. "You didn't ask." She flinched. "Good. Truth should not always be padded." Marlene came to my house the next week. Alone. No performance. No voicemail voice. She stood on my porch holding a small plant. "I brought lavender," she said. I read it can be calming, but then I realized, maybe assuming that is also annoying. Despite myself, I smiled. Probably both. She nodded. "Can I come in?" I let her. Lily was in the living room with headphones on, drawing birds. Marlene did not approach. Good. She sat at my kitchen table. "I was jealous," she said. "That was not what I expected." "Of Lily?" "Of you and Lily with Mom." I stayed quiet. "You had Wednesdays. Routines. Little things. I would visit and feel like an outsider in my own mother's house. And instead of asking how to be part of it, I decided Lily was taking up too much space. It was ugly. It was honest. I'm not saying that as an excuse," she added quickly. "Good." She breathed out. "I'm sorry, Patricia, for the call. For ruin the mood. For not learning what Lily needed. For making you defend your daughter when I should have been defending both of you." My throat tightened. "Thank you. I don't expect the house thing to change. It won't." "I know." That mattered too. She looked toward the living room. "May I apologize to Lily another day, when she knows I'm coming?" "Yes, I'll ask her." "Thank you." Lily allowed it 2 weeks later. Marlene apologized. Specific, careful, no crying until afterward in her car. That was wise. Grandma lived another year and 4 months. Long enough to see some repair. Not full repair. Families like ours do not transform into greeting cards. But Thanksgiving the next year was different. Smaller. Quieter. At Grandma's request, attendance was limited. No one argued. Lily's seat was set before we arrived. The ceramic cardinal beside it. Ray still chewed loudly, but he did not comment on humming. Karen's sons asked Lily about birds and listened to the answer for longer than was comfortable for them. Marlene brought a separate cranberry dish without being asked. Grandma watched all of it from her chair with the satisfaction of a woman who had moved an entire family 3 inches toward decency. After dinner, she said to me, "See? They can learn?" I said, slowly, "Most people do." "Did you?" She smiled. "I had you." Grandma passed away in early spring. Peacefully. In her bedroom. Window cracked open. Cardinals at the feeder. Lily and I had visited the day before. Lily read the forecast. Grandma told her, "Rain is not sad. It is just weather." The next morning, she was gone. At the funeral, Lily wore her blue dress and brown cardigan. She sat in the front row beside me and held the ceramic cardinal in her lap. No one asked her to put it away. At the reception, Marlene made sure there was a quiet room. Karen labeled the food. Ray did not make one inappropriate comment, which I considered a miracle worthy of documentation. The will was read 2 weeks later at the attorney's office. Everything happened exactly as Grandma had said. The house and land went into the structure she had created for me and Lily. Money and personal items were distributed. Letters were included. Marlene cried, but not angrily. Karen held her hand. Ray sighed about the shed but accepted his framed photo and the actual tools Grandma left him. Progress. Grandma's letter to the family said, "Do not confuse equal love with identical gifts. I have loved each of you in the ways I knew how. I leave my house to Patricia and Lily because they have already treated it as a home, not an asset. If this hurts you, examine whether you wanted my presence or my property more." The room was silent. No one argued with a dead woman's handwriting. At least, not out loud. Lily and I did not move into Grandma's house immediately. We took our time. Grief needs pacing. For a while we visited on Wednesdays, like always, fed the cardinals, opened windows, sorted fabric, made lists. Eventually, I sold my smaller house and moved into Grandma's. Lily chose the sewing room as her bird room. Not bedroom. Bird room. We kept Grandma's chair near the window. The ceramic cardinal stayed on the dining table beside Lily's seat. Every Thanksgiving now, I set an extra chair. Lily helps. She writes the place cards. One year, she made one that said, "For someone who needs room." I kept it. The final lesson is not that every family member must understand autism perfectly. People learn. People make mistakes. People can ask questions, apologize, adjust, and grow. But excluding someone because their needs interrupt your comfort is not a mistake. It is a choice. And calling an autistic person too much often says more about the room than the person. My family told me not to bring my autistic daughter to Thanksgiving. Grandma saved her seat anyway. And when the table went quiet, when the cardinal sat beside Lily's plate, when Grandma announced that her house would go to the daughter and great-granddaughter who had treated it like a home, my family finally understood what my mother had known all along. Belonging is not granted by the loudest relatives. It is protected by the ones who make room. Thank you for staying with me through this story. I know some of you love someone who has been called difficult, disruptive, too sensitive, too loud, too quiet, too literal, too much, or not enough. If Patricia and Lily's story reached you, I hope you remember that accommodations are not favors. They are invitations to belong. Save the seat. Label the food. Turn down the volume. Make the quiet room. Defend the person who cannot always defend herself in the way others expect. And never let anyone convince you that comfort matters more than dignity. Subscribe to Ultimate Revenge for more stories about quiet women, family betrayal, silent comebacks, and the moment one saved seat tells the whole truth. So tell me, if your family asked you not to bring your autistic daughter to Thanksgiving because she would ruin the mood, and Grandma saved her seat anyway, would you try to keep peace with the family? Or would you let Grandma's truth change the table forever?